In a way, this camping trip is the trip where everything kind of just went wrong. I have the canoe on my car and I'm just so excited. I don't know why. I think maybe I'm more excited this year because it seemed like this winter was like
falling out of love, falling into this place. I'm telling you, I know I get down, but cannot erase. You are more than us, and I just pray to live. I'm struggling to keep up when I'm living on the pace. And you know I'll get it, but will I give a shit? Getting tired of faking everything like this.
We're back on another solo trip in the Boundary Waters. I'm out for a few nights by myself. It's late in the day and I'm just getting started now on the paddle. But it's beautiful weather. It's supposed to be rainy pretty much the whole time, so I'm soaking up this beautiful weather right now. And I'm kind of happy I'm not facing the sun because I don't need to start out with a sunburn. But the weather's beautiful. There was a frost advisory last night, but it's supposed to be warmer at night for the next couple nights, so I lucked out there. But I want to get to a campsite. I'm on East Bearskin Lake, and I would like to take the last campsite on this lake right before the portage into Alder. But if that's taken, then I'm going to portage into Alder and check out the campsites on that lake. So, just paddling right now. I've paddled past both of the campsites on this lake before the portage already, and they're both taken. So I'm going to have to portage 52 rods into Alder Lake and then locate a campsite on Alder Lake. I probably have another like 3 hours of sunlight left, so I have plenty of time, but I am kind of hungry, so I was really hoping for a campsite on this lake, but that's how it goes. There's a stream right over here, and that's where the portage is. This portage is 52 rods. And I don't think I've ever done this portage before, so I don't really know what to expect, but I bet it's pretty straightforward. The landing was easy. The trail so far is dry, even though it's been extremely wet this spring. There's a little stream that runs on this side of this portage, and I can hear the water rushing. The water's been pretty high this year, like I said, so it's kind of loud, but it'd be kind of cool to check that out. Maybe on the way back when I have more time. I kind of want to just find a campsite and relax a little bit tonight. Make some food. So I'm just kind of chugging along here. Oh, it's so beautiful. This is a really pretty portage. I like to take my pack first if I have to double portage with my pack and my canoe, which I have to because I don't think I could do the pack and the canoe at the same time. But I like to start with the pack so that I can check out the portage a little bit before I have the canoe obstructing most of my view. Wow. Look at those trees. The bugs are pretty intense right now, the mosquitoes specifically. This bug jacket is honestly one of the best purchases I've made for my camping gear. I'm gonna do a camping gear video probably after this trip, kind of fill you in on where I'm at right now. It's been a while since I've done one of those, so maybe check that out. But I'll talk about some of the gear I've been using lately and things I really like and things that I'm still kind of testing the waters on. This is beautiful. Rocky, but beautiful. I can see the lake. It's the best part of the portage, that's for sure. There's a beaver. Finally an open campsite, and we are just about to have the sun go back behind the trees. I'm so grateful. This is number 5 or 6 along the way, maybe 5, and it's finally, there's one open, so I'm really excited. It doesn't look like a very beautiful campsite, but that's okay. We're gonna make the best of it. My first objective is to find a place to put my tent, set my tent up, and then I am going to hopefully start a fire and get in some dry clothes. I think this will work just fine for a tent pad. It is supposed to rain tonight and potentially storm. So I would like to look around and see if there are any massive trees ready to come down.
The afterglow of this daily war, I need so much more than just holy water. The wind is roaring my heavy song. It's been way too long.
I typically pack water shoes or tennis shoes that I plan to get wet, or Chacos or Tevas or something like that. I don't own Tevas, but usually I pack something like that that I know are going to get wet. And then my hiking boots I usually keep dry on Boundary Waters trips, but I didn't pack my water shoes. I looked at them when I was packing. It was in all the camping stuff, and for some reason I just didn't think I needed them. I didn't really process the water shoe thing. So when I was getting in and out of the canoe today, I just took my hiking boots off and went stocking footed, walking in and out of the water, because I really do like having dry tennis shoes at camp, especially because it's supposed to rain tomorrow and the next day. I know my boots might get wet anyway, but for tonight, hopefully they can stay dry, my feet can stay dry, and maybe tomorrow they can stay dry too. It just really makes a difference when it's going to be cold. It's supposed to be pretty chilly tonight, and all day tomorrow it's not even supposed to hit 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So I just want dry shoes. So that's why I just peeled my wet socks off and then put dry shoes on. I also just like realized that I'm pretty sure I'm sitting right in poison ivy and it's probably got oil all over me. But it honestly, I'm not complaining really. Like, look where I get to be right now. This is my view. This is a very, very steep portage trail. Not portage trail, latrine trail. Up to the bathroom. Straight uphill. Hopefully it's not super long, because when I'm camping by myself, I really don't like to go on long latrine trails if I have to go at night. I mean, you know why. It's kind of scary. Oh, it's not too bad. There it is. I want to eat on that rock. Even though it's getting dark and I probably should work on hanging my food or starting a fire. I just feel like this is it. Three little birds flew past my campsite. To be honest, I'm so happy right now. The bugs are terrible. But everything else is absolutely perfect and I wouldn't change a thing. I worked really hard to get here. I didn't film a lot the last part of the paddle because I was paddling really hard to get here to find a campsite to camp at. And it feels like a win that I have a campsite. It feels like a win that I'm here at all. I almost had to cancel this trip. It feels like a win that right now in this moment the weather is beautiful and hopefully we get good weather for this whole trip. I feel like every trip I do, the forecast is rain, and sometimes it does rain and other times it really doesn't. So you never really know what to expect. I just went down by the water to rinse my hands. I slipped. So I still have one dry shoe. Oh man. I have a lot of wet socks right now. But when I slipped and fell in the water, I scared something. I scared a beaver. And I heard it flap its tail. So beavers will swim around in the water. I didn't see the beaver. It must have been across the water. But they'll swim around and then they'll flap their tail and like disappear underwater sometimes. So I think I scared it when I fell in the water. It was not graceful. Good morning, friends. It's been light out for probably an hour now, which means it's probably still very early, but I haven't checked the time. But I just haven't been able to get out of my sleeping bag, even though I could also use the latrine right now, because it's really cold. Last night was really, really cold. I think the forecast was for a low of 44 degrees. And that's probably about what it was. And my sleeping bag is a 32-degree sleeping bag, which means it's not really warm at 32 degrees. It's probably only warm at like 45, 50 degrees. But anyway, it wasn't. It was cold. I was very cold. But I put on my wool socks. I packed wool socks. I had this headband on, a winter headband. I slept in a sweater. I think on the average night when I'm solo camping, I probably get like 3 or 4 hours of sleep total, which is that's just how it is. But even though it was freezing cold, this is probably the best sleep I've ever had solo camping. I think I only woke up a couple times, and when I woke up, it was because I was cold. And then I like moved around in the sleeping bag and adjusted and put on warmer things. And I was able to get like somewhat decent sleep. I'm up, I'm Adam, and life is really, really cold with a wet boot in the morning. I just put my wet shoe back on. I'm gonna go up and go to the bathroom and get the food out of the tree, have some breakfast. I'm feeling pretty good. This jacket might actually be overkill at the moment, but I want to get out and check out the other campsites on this lake, see what's open, see what's out there. This campsite has been fine. I'm grateful that it was open. Definitely working up some rain up ahead. So I need a campsite because this canoe that I'm using is not really a solo canoe. It's not a solo canoe at all. It's meant for 2 to 3 people and it's a load-bearing canoe, so it sits high up out of the water. That's why I don't do the J-stroke in this canoe. Just trust me, it doesn't work. It's basically like a sailboat, so I have to paddle full paddles and not this J-stroke that kind of slows you down. Anyway, I just need a campsite because I can't be out in the wind in this canoe by myself. It just doesn't work well. So I'm gonna go back and take that open campsite that I saw because the rest of the campsites on this lake are taken. I could portage over into Canoe Lake, which is what I would do right now if it didn't look like some weather coming in. And the campsites on Canoe Lake, if I remember correctly, are beautiful, so I'm kind of bummed, but I think I just need to set up camp and enjoy some camp life. I could really go for some marshmallows right now, but I didn't pack any. This is where I'll set up my tent. This campsite is actually pretty nice. I think I'll really enjoy being here. I'm just happy again to have a site. That's the thing with the way the Boundary Waters works is you don't reserve campsites, which I really like. So you can kind of play it by ear, but then you don't know what you're gonna get. And the campsite down the lake, just a little bit, the next one down, looked so cool. It looked probably like the nicest site on the lake, but this one will be great too. I'm gonna get my tent set up, get everything out. It's beautiful. I didn't go very far from my last campsite, but I think it was worth moving because it's nice to have a new site and it's just really pretty, so.
It's nothing like it seems. It's what I've been telling you. Oh, you'd learn what I mean if you came. But the risk, are you willing to take?
I tried to go fishing, but I only casted 4 or 5 times, and I caught a tree and 2 rocks, and I lost 2 hooks. So I'm just gonna make some lunch. I'm kind of hungry and I'm kind of cold as well. My feet have been wet basically this whole time. I'm not wearing the boots because I want them to dry. So I'm wearing wet socks around camp. I think the chicken salad bagel idea would be better with pretty much any other type of bagel. The bagel that I used was a cinnamon raisin bagel and it was fine, but it was a little weird having cinnamon and chicken salad in the same bagel. But honestly, I think that's a really good idea. If I bring everything bagels next time, I will probably bring more of that. My camp meals this camping trip aren't that creative because I just got back from a trip to Ely Saturday, and then I worked most of the day Sunday, and then Monday I had to work in the morning, and then I drove here, so I didn't even really have time to go shopping. So I just used kind of what we had at home. The wind is blowing in this way, so we're getting all of the pollen water over at this campsite, and it is kind of gross looking, but also it's kind of cool and kind of pretty because you can see the streams of the water. If you look, you can see kind of how the water streams in and pools. Not super ideal for pumping water if I need to pump some fresh water through my filter, but I'm sure there's a little nook or cranny around by the water that doesn't have the water cheese in it. If you are somebody who likes to do breathing exercises, meditative breathing exercises, or things like that, I would highly recommend trying to set aside some time to do that on your next camping trip, especially here in the Boundary Waters. I feel like the breathing exercises are elevated in a way. I don't know if it's because the weather and like feeling the earth and feeling the breeze on me, or if it's because the air quality here is probably way better than where I live. Nature calls, and I'm gonna brush my teeth. I usually brush my teeth back by the latrine. I don't know, it just seems like the right thing to do. It is starting to drizzle, which is actually kind of good timing because I already had lunch. I attempted to fish. I have camp set up. Beautiful. The nice thing about this open campsite is that the wind blows right in, and the wind is blowing this direction. So it's blowing the mosquitoes away, which is perfect because I don't want to completely coat myself with bug spray. I have permethrin on my clothing, which really does help a lot, but tomorrow morning it's supposed to be nice and then rain later on in the day. If it's nice in the morning, I might go for a swim. It's just so pretty here. I don't know if this is true, but somebody told me that when the wind is blowing toward shore, it pushes the fish toward that shore. So I feel like if I don't try to fish again, I'm missing out on an opportunity. So I might try to do that. And if I catch a fish, that'd be really cool. Wow. Look at those rocks. This is a big old cedar tree, it looks like. It's been down for a while. I've been laying in the hammock and it's pretty chilly enough that I put my mittens on for reading to turn the pages. But I think I want something warm to warm me up. So I'm just gonna warm up a cup of water and drink that. Usually I would have tea, but I'm not really feeling tea. I definitely am feeling coffee, but I shouldn't drink more coffee right now. Tonight I will probably boil some water or heat up some water and then put it in my Nalgene bottle and then put that in my sleeping bag with me so that I'm a little bit warmer, at least for the first part of the night. A Nalgene water bottle can handle really hot water and they're pretty durable, so that's why I really like my Nalgene for camping. Also, my water pump that I brought, I thought that I let it dry out completely last time I used it before I put it away, but I did not apparently do a good job of that. So when I pulled my water pump filter out of the bag, it was a little bit moldy. So I'm not using that and I'll have to get a new filter for it. That just goes to show why we should always have two forms of water safety with us. You can get little iodine drops, you can do aquamira, you can boil water if you do it long enough. There's definitely something special about solo camping and just being by yourself. It's relaxing and it's empowering, and it feels just like a whole different experience than being with somebody. There's a lot more silence, a lot more thinking, a lot more appreciating. Like when I'm with other people, I'm hanging out with them, maybe we're playing a game or we're sitting and talking, and that's beautiful and I love that. But when I'm by myself, I notice how cool cedar leaves are, and I sit and stare at the new growth of the pine trees or the spruce trees. I noticed a baby white pine over on the side of the campsite. This has probably surprisingly been my most enjoyable solo camping trip that I've ever done so far. Hopefully it stays that way. But I feel like the more I go solo camping, the more confidence I have, the less anxiety and small fears that I have. I have my puffy jacket on, my red sweater on, and then my orange plaid sweater on under that, and mittens and 2 pairs of pants. It's definitely a little bit chilly, but honestly, it's bearable if you have the right clothes. Having a warm meal on a cold day in the Boundary Waters is an experience. In a way, this camping trip is the trip where everything kind of just went wrong. I had to rush up here to the Boundary Waters and didn't get to stop at the grocery store to get the food that I would like to have had. I forgot my water shoes. Both pairs of my dry socks got wet right away. I fell in the water and soaked my hiking boot. It's been very cold. The night was cold. It's windy and rainy and just chilly and cloudy. I lost 2 fishing hooks right away, and I don't have a lot more fishing hooks to try and use. I don't have any marshmallows with me. Can't really have a fire when it's this windy, and my water filter is moldy. But somehow this is still my favorite solo camping trip that I've ever done. And I guess just sometimes making the best of a trip actually makes it the best trip. It's pretty windy, so I actually moved the canoe back away from the water and away from all these rocks. Sometimes wind will get up under canoes and lift them up, and I just don't want my canoe destroyed or blowing around on these rocks.
The afterglow of this daily war. I need so much more than just holy water. The wind is roaring my heavy song. It's been way too long since I almost caught her. Baby, let me lay here a while until the day moves over.
I've been in the tent for a few hours, just kind of relaxing and reading and chilling, but I came outside just to check things out. It's really nice outside right now. It's fairly calm and it's beautiful, but the sky looks really intense. I don't know if you can even really tell in the GoPro, but this direction looks nice and calm. That's like almost green, like a dark bluish green, so a little bit ominous. Looks like a massive rain cloud over there. So I'm curious to see what we actually get, what actually happens, but the sky's looking pretty ominous. Hopefully that stays south of us, because it looks like it's moving east and it's a little bit south of us. If it stays over there, it won't hit us, but can't really tell for sure the direction on that guy, because like the lower clouds are for sure moving that way, but the higher clouds, sometimes they look like they're going that way, sometimes they look like they're going that way. Good morning. I just packed up camp, took down the tent, everything's packed up. I'm gonna start heading out already, which is a little bit earlier than what I expected, but I'm up and the water's so calm and I have quite a ways to paddle in my big white sailboat. So I'm gonna try and start heading. Also, it's like still sunrise time, so it's probably gonna be really pretty.